All right, welcome in the Bobby Carpenter Show. And holy smokes, it's Wednesday, Schleich. So what does that mean?
I'm summoning him. I'm summoning him right now. No, is it,
Too
you need
quiet.
pop up?
You can't hear it.
No, you couldn't hear that. You couldn't hear that guy.
No, it's going to be super loud now and jarring.
There, let me back
Wait
it up,
for
man.
it. Wait for it. Work on it. Wait for it. Here it is. Live.
You can't hear that. I don't even
I
know
can
what.
hear it. I can hear it, Schleich. All right.
Okay.
AJ, the important thing to note is AJ can't hear it. And since he can't hear it, it's because he's in Pittsburgh. So he's not going to be able to hop on. He's not going to be able to hop on with us today, which is all good. I'm going to try to see if we can get him on. I think we're going to have Bill Bender tomorrow. So I'm going to see if he can come on Friday. I'm trying to work to get our guy, Will Howard, on as well. Who did you want to get on? Quinshawn Schlegs? Or Donovan Jackson?
Or Donnie. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can reach out to
him. You know what? I'm writing it on my notepad. I got a notepad right here. Okay. I'm going to
write it down. Write it down. I was thinking of guys that we could have during this season. I know Lathan mentioned some dudes. Like I was looking at like Edric Houston, Peyton Pierce, Jermaine. The only problem with Jermaine Schlegs, I know that Peyton wanted, like that Lathan recommended him. I love Jermaine. I just don't know that we would be able to keep him in the box. He's a free.
It doesn't matter. We don't want him to be in the box. We want him to be outside the box. He's just an energy giver all the time, always smiling.
He is. He's a fun dude. Got a lot of juice. So looking at that, maybe some offensive guys like Carson Hinsman, maybe Brandon Ennis. I don't know. We'll been throwing some stuff around. We'll start getting some guys on here after spring ball's over, and as we do that,
yeah,
maybe get a feel.
Time. Let's beta test them, and we'll get from the listeners out there of like, who do you like?
Yeah, who do you love? Who do you want on? And so we can beta test that and kind of figure that out. Who would be someone that would be good to come on, and obviously they have to be willing as well to hop on there with us. So I've been kind of working through that. What else I was working through? Monday night they released the Will Howard deal with John Gruden, the quarterback camp. And so I watched some on Monday, watched some more of it yesterday. Because I was watching a little bit of the national championship game.
How about that game? How about that game?
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. So like no lead is ever safe. And so when you start looking at like coming back from things and grinding back out from stuff, I know it's 2 days ago, but I felt conflicted. Like, do I want to cheer for Florida in this? I kind of like their team, but it's just a bad feeling for me. Just if there's a team that Ohio State, given they took 2 national championships from them, one in football, one in basketball in 2006, I just can't get fully behind them. I do like Kelvin Sampson. I thought Houston would be good, and then they were controlling the game. Like, let's get it a little closer. I never thought Florida would be able to come back and win, given the fact that Houston had such great defense, but they ultimately did. And kudos to them for pulling off. But during that time, we have Will Howard. And you want to talk about like a juice positive dude, Schlegs.
Yeah.
John Gruden in that. Like, have you got a chance? Did you watch it? Have you watched it yet? Or just the clips?
No. I watched the whole dadgum doomajig. I mean, Silva. And I'll start off with this guy. It's like, if you don't, that's how these meetings go.
Oh, not quite like John Gruden, but
I like that though. Like, honestly, they should all be that. Honestly, when I took my takeaway from that was, one, what a great vetting like thing that he did for all these, because I guarantee you, like, coaches talk, and like he's going to talk about how impressed he was, and he threw some bait out there, like, where are you? And why aren't you QB1? Like, look at what Josh Allen did. Look at where you are. All the stats are like.
Look at this guy, 6'4", 236. What are you? 6'4", 235. Look at that. This guy right here. Look at him move. Look at you move. Big, strong arm. I mean,
it was awesome, man. It was awesome. Like, totally fluffer. I mean, honestly, pounding the table for Chevy Silverado, being a GM guy. My entire life, I've never owned anything but GMs, and I switched from the Silverado to the beefier 2500 with a Duramax in it 6 years ago. Guess what? Paint doesn't pay, so that thing is paid off, and we still riding. But I'd say this: you take that, and him giving them like, oh, of these, which one do you like as audibles, and just the language that is tied with that, and then him comparing the offense to what he did. And a lot of those schemes and route combinations are very NFL-esque, and how he's working the entire field. That was fantastic. And then the drills at the end, I really liked a lot.
Yeah. Oh, the drills, getting them done, seeing what they
The
could
balls with
do.
no laces that were like rubber that had to be slick as hell.
Oh yeah.
Those
But
were terrible.
I loved getting him up there and going through, and they did the 3x1. They start talking about the 5 different little audibles you can have on the backside for the X, some different things and what he liked. And that's what quarterback, he's like, don't just be a bobblehead quarterback. And Will's got that big personality. John Gruden, a lot of NFL coaches, they want a leader at quarterback. I know Ryan wanted a leader. That was one of the big things of why he wanted Will Howard on this roster, was because of what he brought, not just his ability to throw the football, but his size, his physicality, his ability to run it, and then his demeanor. That leadership element was huge, and so that was a big deal. So that's pretty solid right there to see as well.
Hey, what else? I would love the guys in the chat to get on here and tell you, like, if you guys watched it, like what you kind of took away from it. But one of the interesting things for me, Bob, was I'm not an offensive guy. They got some long calls, man.
Yep.
And they're good because, like, everybody in those calls, you know where you fit in the call. Like, I could see, like, where the offensive line is, where the running back set, what are each individual guy doing, and there's different route combinations. They got to remember it. Like, where do I come out of my break? What am I doing? If we have this, like, this is one of the things that Brian Hartline is really good. We talk about football acumen all the time. What do you got in this type of coverage? Where are the soft spots in the coverage? Where could you look and sit down in zone? They're talking all this. And it's just like they are making all these checks, and it just, to me, reminded me of the chess game that is football. When our defenses are like, tight one buck, right? And tight one buck means you set the front to the tight end side, and you're playing one buck, which means it was 3-on-2 or 2-on-1 with a wrap player man. Boom, pretty simple, tight one buck. And then we had our little subtle nuances and checks that you'd have within the call that we all knew and we would communicate. But we have to kind of be that way because we're more we have to react.
Defense has more reactions as far as what happens.
Offense is more set up, and then they're diagnosing it based upon what it is that you do. And it just got me thinking about why we loved, like, we used to watch film all the time, like all the time. Like, this is the why, though, right? To be able to play that fast at that caliber that Will did, especially that last stretch, really cool, man. So that's why it was just nice to kind of peek behind the curtain, especially on a sideline football that I don't like.
All you got to do, see, the problem is you were such a meathead. You never listened to anybody. So I used to meet with all Saturday nights. I would meet with our quarterbacks the night before games. Like, we'd sit there at our little dinner, and they like run through some of the calls, and we talk about.
How does that have anything to do with me being a meathead?
Because you never tried to educate yourself outside of your little defensive sideline.
I did. I was always focusing on the stuff that impacted us, like the fronts and where their sets are. And like, I was more ingrained in it.
So why wouldn't it be important? Like, you don't play pass coverage, of understanding what offenses are calling, how they attack in specific defenses, what
I already knew the weaknesses to our defenses were, and I knew by space and alignment what they were trying to accomplish.
I understand that, but I would sit there in the NFL and I'd always try to talk to those guys on Saturday night. Like, what are we doing? This is what we did during the week. How are we attacking this Philadelphia defense? How are we going to attack the New York defense? What, we're playing, I don't know, Minnesota. What do they do? What do the Browns do? Like, and how are we going to kind of go about it? Because you'd see some of it during the week, and everybody kind of plays a little bit of scout team. And so you're back and forth there. And so you kind of see how they're attacking it. And so that was great for Will. And one of the great parts about Will that we got a chance to see in there, Schlegs, is, and we want to throw that up there, Pat. We start talking about that Tennessee game. And this is why you loved Will Howard. And AJ talked about this with McAfee, and I wish he was on today. We'll get him on. But to talk about this is, Pat's like, well, how do you feel about the game? And AJ's like, man, they're going to win by 100. And Pat's like, how do you know? How do you know? He's like, you can tell by the way that they're looking. And, we had Jack on. You go back and watch the Jack Sawyer show. It was awesome. Like, he did a great job talking about all this. It was last Friday he was on and diving into this about, why'd you go over there and stand, the intimidation. He's like, these guys came out here and thought that they were going to, run the shoe. And we wanted to make sure that we were going to obviously take care of business and get it done. And so this kind of leads into this, their mentality coming off of that loss to Michigan. Tennessee's in here, take over the shoe, orange out the shoe, whatever the heck they're talking about. It's 20 degrees. Honestly, it felt better than it did against Michigan, but it was an unbelievable environment. But this was Will's comments about him talking with regard to Tennessee coming out with their shirts off and everything else.
Volunteers. It's a cold night.
It was
in Columbus, and you see these guys come roaring out of here. The SEC, the Tennessee Vols, without their shirts, and it seemed like they were trying to intimidate you guys.
Oh yeah. Well, the funny thing is they came out with their shirts on or their shirts off, and they ran over to the opposite end zone and immediately put them back on. I was like, "What the fuck are these clowns doing, man?" Like at that moment, I knew we had
playoff start.
Yeah. What are they doing? These clowns, like everybody wants to act like they're tough. Like if you're going to be about it, dude, be about that life. Like, so you got to be about that life. And so, well, then what are these clowns doing? And that was it. You heard Jack talk about it. I mean, if you're going to go all in, man, you'd better lean in on it big time. And they tried to, but I think Schlegs, when people do that a lot of times, and I always say it's like the strongest guy in the gym that yells the most and all these things. Like he's trying to prove to everybody how tough he is. The toughest dudes, they don't have to sell you on their toughness. They're all good. They don't have to go talk about it. If you're a guy that never wears an undershirt, that's fine. You can raw dog underneath your pads. I'm cool with that. But don't be somebody that all of a sudden now it's cold. Now I'm not going to wear a shirt. And I'm a guy like I never really wore sleeves. Maybe a handful of times I played. I don't know if I ever wore them in the NFL. Maybe just when I was, in college and like my freshman year wasn't playing much. But like you don't wear sleeves. Like that's just the thing. The linebackers, we're not wearing sleeves. Like no matter how cold it is, Schlegs, no sleeves. And so that was always something we did. It wasn't a toughness thing. It was just an attitude, a mentality, and that's how we operated. Your thoughts?
I'm looking up that song, man, because I wanted to play it.
Remember
it started. I got to go get that. It was about.
Listen, just be prepared for the show.
Well, I know, but you just came up with that one, so I was like, man, what a great segue, because that way I could have played it. But I would tell you this, Bob, like, people like fake it till you make it, but when it comes to like something like that, like I know for a fact we played Green Bay against AJ. It was -4. I didn't have sleeves. What I did have like a warm shirt, and I cut the turtleneck off because I didn't want a turtleneck, and I just had the underbody. Right? Because I always did wear a shirt under my pads. Because I remember one time, back then we had buckles, guys. Like the Douglas pads, they had buckles, and then they would go in and like dig in and rub, and like you would just have like these raw marks, and like one of them got infected. And yes, I did bathe, but it's just metal in a womb all the time. It happens. But I was like, all right, I'm gonna start wearing an undershirt. But that's it. And so what I loved about Will in that segment and toughness or whatever. But preparation is toughness because it allows you to go out there and execute. That's why I always are a big fan of like whatever your routine is, you always stick with the routine. If you always wear the same sweats when you go out, you always wear the same sweats. Like you changing up what you're doing to try to get some kind of psychological, advantage on somebody, or is it to prove to yourself that you are tough enough and that this does not bother you? Like to me, that stuff is all handled in practice and in training. That's not something that you can just all of a sudden go do on game days. And I tell you all the time, Bob, like you can't just flip a switch and expect it to happen. Those are things that are built up over months and years of time. Like the same stuff that you did in high school, the same stuff we did in college, same stuff we did in the pros. I listened to the same soundtrack.
Yeah.
I kid you not, probably through high school all the way into the NFL, just because that was my routine. And when people don't have that and they kind of like try to throw it together and hope that it sticks, like they're not prepared, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, I get it, Schlegs. It makes
sense. That goes on that coaching staff for even letting them go out there and do that.
They may have encouraged it, Schlegs.
I 100% they encouraged it. I know they're guys. Yeah. I'm like, why would you encourage? I mean, I don't talk to them like, hey, why would you encourage your guys to do that? Like, that's absolutely asinine. But that's the fact. That's the reality of the situation. Like if you come in every game before a game and you get body tempered, all right, get body tempered. If you wear the same jacket, wear the same jacket. The intimidation happens, or the physicality happens when you step across the white lines and you go do it, and you always speak with your pads.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we've got some big news coming up, Shays. We'll get to it here in a minute. I want to tell everybody first, parents, athletes, protect what matters most with Export mouth guards, trusted by professional athletes and designed by NHL team dentists. Export guards are scientifically tested to help absorb those high-impact hits to protect both your teeth and your brain. Export mouth guards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including a patented use of carbon fiber. They 3D print that bad boy right to your own grill for more protection, better performance, max comfort, and clear communication, so you can focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Go visit exportguards.com/Bobby today and save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. New contract handed out over at the Woody Hayes, and it's a big one. It's for a guy who might be the most important guy in that building outside of Ryan Day and Mickey Marotti. Find out next.
Hey,
All right, welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show. And Schleiks, you could argue that order of importance of the Woody Hayes, obviously the head coach, head of the state, has to do everything. So Ryan Day is the most important guy over there. He's controlling all elements. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just
okay.
I got Jay Hooten just walked in the door, Bob. You know what I mean?
My guy. So you got our guy Jay Hooten, but the number one most important guy, Ryan Day. Outside of that, most people and a lot of people would argue like it's the strength coach, strength staff. They touch the players every day. They build the toughness. They're with them all off season. They're with them during the season. Schlegels loves touching on dudes. Mickey, Marotti helps develop the protocol for return to play, the health, the wellness, like all of those things. The strength coach is involved if their strength coach is good. And so you could say that he's probably the next guy. And then you can start debating offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Is there a position coach? Brian Hartline, when he was just the receivers coach, he brings in such great talent. However, the guy who is one of the undisputed best at his job with how they're able to acquire talent is Mark Pantoni. General manager, he used to be called like director of recruiting. And Schlegels, he just inked a new deal. And that new deal is going to make him one of the highest paid general managers in the sport. It's a multi-year deal. It's a big deal. They put together top 10 recruiting classes every single year. So if you want to throw that out there, that's a young Mark too. Look at him, Schlegels. Back when you were here the first time, looking very Rico Suave. Your thoughts, Schlegels, on Mark Pantoni getting put into this upper echelon as if he probably shouldn't even have been there before?
Yeah, he was, one of the originals of it, of what they looked at as far as like what would be the equivalent to a general manager in the NFL. Mark has been doing that for a long time. Obviously did it with Urban and doing it with Ryan and has done a phenomenal job. And really what that looks like now, you guys got to remember, as the college landscape has changed, position coaches back in the day were required to go out, watch film, break down film. Who do they like, right? And then go out and recruit those guys. Now that it's all really fallen under, quote unquote, the general manager, Mark Pantoni, and his staff of evaluating the talent, where they are, what fits, kind of that balancing act between, a 4-star guy that's in your state versus a 4-star guy that's out of your state. And what does that look like on the landscape of the vision of Ohio State football and being able to stay within the state and all these different things? He has done a great job of saying, okay, here are the pieces that we currently have. Who are the pieces that we can go acquire that would fit in our culture, not just to acquire everybody that is acquirable or everybody that is actually good, but just the ones that fit. And if you look at all the ones that have been brought in over these last few years, not only do they fit the culture and fit the needs, but they've added extreme value within the locker room. And I think that that's why he has been so good and this has been so sustainable, this goal of going out and be very selective. Because when you're at Ohio State, and we're seeing this with other big-time programs, that you always have to have the right people on the bus and the right seats on the bus and be very selective about who you get that bring in, because if they disrupt any of that, you can completely lose a locker room, lose a season, tarnish the brand that is whatever it is for you, Ohio State football. In this case.
And you could argue that he came in here with Urban. It's wild that he's been here 14 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Florida. He's done a great job and always top 10 recruiting classes. Kind of helped evolve this Ohio State recruiting where, yes, you always want to get the best players in Ohio, but they used to kind of go just to Florida and Texas and maybe a little California, you'd be Michigan, Pennsylvania a little bit, but Mark has nationalized it. And if there's a kid in St. Louis that's really good named Zeke Elliott and no one, we're going to go get this kid, even if we don't typically recruit in St. Louis. So there's a kid and, they've done a great job in the DMV, the New York area, the Washington area right there. And so all of that you can kind of attribute back to Mark Pantoni. And so he's been very, very impressive. And that was just some breaking news that came down. Thank you for giving us some awareness in that on the chat with everything. That
was Tyler. Thank you, Tyler. Clap hands.
You, Tyler, for giving us that. With that, Schlegs, I'd also like to talk about Jack Sawyer's first pitch, our dude. Now that happened, was that Monday or yesterday that the first pitch came out that he threw? Was it Tuesday?
Oh, it was opening day. It was Tuesday.
Opening day. Well, the home opener for the Cleveland Guardians.
Yes.
Jack Sawyer was on with us on
Captain Jack.
Captain Jack.
Not Jack the Slayer.
The Ripper,
the stripper. The Jack the Stripper.
Jack the Stripper, Jack the Ripper.
Remember that was it. That was in the deal. Remember?
Yeah, the best nickname.
Can't do that.
Jack the Stripper, which depending on what he wants to do, whatever he wants to do with his second career.
OnlyFans.
That sounds
it's out there.
Tremendous. I wonder if the NFL has a policy about players being on OnlyFans.
That's a good question. Maybe we should ask him, Jack the Stripper.
You
ever thought about side hustling as a
OnlyFans
model?
Maybe Foot Finder. You'll never know if you have enough time. But let's throw that up, Pat. His opening day pitch, which I tried to give him a little heads up, like throw some off the mound first. Yeah. And I don't know. After talking to him today, I don't think he got that advice, and he wanted to throw it pretty hard because Jack played baseball. He can throw some gas, and sometimes he gets away from you a little bit, Schlegs. Oh, here it is. Look at him. That majestic beast on the mound. Good leg kick. Oh, little high. And the thing was, I think he could have caught that. Are you going to give us like a little bit?
Throw it to an older. Is that his dad?
I don't think. Is that his dad? I don't think so. Is it? No.
Man, I don't know, man. Kind of looks like with a haircut.
I'll have to ask. I know his dad went. Luke Whippler went up there with him. I couldn't see. I'll have to take a look at that and ask him. But he was he said that there wasn't a good enough effort given. And I think that that's true. There probably should have been a little better effort, Schlegs, given to that. You're a baseball guy. Your son, plays a lot of baseball. Where are we coming down with that?
Yeah, you just got to get in the vicinity where they can catch it. You know what I'm saying? When you have the president after 9/11, they can go out there in Yankee Stadium and throw
grease one.
Yeah, grease one right down the pipe, man. Like you gotta step up. But again, preparation stops when the foot hits the ball or when you throw out the first pitch. there's the Woody, and right next to it is, I believe, Nick Swisher Field. And if I'm not mistaken, I used to be able to go in there all the time, just like, he picked this lock over there and just get into the bullpen. Just throw a couple off there. Just make sure that you're dialed in where that release point is. You know what I'm saying? And again, watching some other films, just make sure, Nolan Ryan said, make sure you're releasing it when you plant that foot. I don't think he had that foot down. So anyways, could do a little bit better effort, but you know what though? He's still a man.
Well, the thing is, and I told Jack, like, you make sure you release when you plant that foot. You don't want to release it too far after you plant the foot because then you get the other side of it where you bury that bad boy into the ground.
Could you imagine? I mean, again, sailing one over the head's probably better than spiking one in the dirt that comes up and hits the guy right in the junk.
And that's what he said. He goes, I didn't want to spike it. And I'm like, so then Schlegs.
Oh, you were thinking about it
more because you don't want to bury it. And so you hit, and instead of going too long, you go too soft and you sail that bad boy. Listen, I threw one out for the Clippers. Now, obviously, it's not the Guardians. I mean, I'm just at Huntington Park throwing one out there. But I went out there. The kids were all watching me. And I told Jack he didn't get a chance to do this. I went down, and I think we talked about this on the show. I found the turf mound underneath in the little interior bullpen. I threw about 5 or 6 of them just so I had a feel for it. Yeah. And I got it catcher about, chest, head height. I mean, it was a ball, but it was right there. Had a little pop. I didn't try to throw it too hard. Didn't want to overthrow it. But Schlegs also to get and I didn't have a glove. Without the glove, you don't necessarily have that balance. Balance. I had no glove, but I did throw the hand out. But I did to give it a baseball feel. I wore those capris that we had on the boat the one year to make it feel like a good baseball fan. That's God's honest truth. I might have to find that picture of it and send it over because
those are size XXX from the women's section. Capri pants. Of
course, I mean, if you're going to get capris, dude, they don't really sell them in the dudes section. That's European guys. There's no way I'm big enough, going to be able to fit in those. But yeah, I told Corey, I was like, I'm going to wear these capris so then I feel like I have a baseball pant on. I mean, is there something wrong with that?
No, not at all, man. Hey, teach his own. Charge it to winning sometimes, Bob. Charge it to winning.
That's
good
tremendous.
For Jack.
Yep. All good stuff there. So Jack having his first pitch, pretty darn solid with all of that. All right, so I want to get back into, maybe we should save this for tomorrow. There's some more the Lincoln Keenholz and Julian Sane debate is, raging on. I know a lot of people think that it's done and over with. It's not. They had practice again on Monday and Tuesday this week. They have their last practice on Friday. So Tuesday was kind of the last big practice as they move. And let's talk a little bit, Schlegs, after this about spring ball, what was achieved, what did they need to do, and what do you need to see on Saturday? What do you hope to kind of see on Saturday moving forward with this? We'll get all that next on the Bobby Carpenter Show. I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like... I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages, because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer. All right, Schlegs, let's start with the defense in spring ball. What did you want to see, and kind of where do you feel like this defense is at with basically the hay being in the barn and 13 practices done, with the last one kind of being the coaches clinic practice where kind of do a spring walkthrough and some different things like that?
Yeah, I was just writing some stuff down on my notepad. So I always got one. Number one thing to me about spring ball is the fundamentals of the foundation of your culture, right? And again, you guys, we all know this. We say it all the time. Attitude and effort, boom. That's like a staple in the program. It's a +2 mentality that some of the Urbans brought. It's the same every single year. But are they playing with a great attitude and giving great effort? 2, I always say this, fast and violent, right? Fast, hard, and violent is what you want to see. So are they – this is, again, you asked me about defense. Those are the 2 things I want to see. Then I want to see who is around the ball and who are making plays. Like, are they consistently doing their job and around the football? And then do they make plays that they necessarily weren't supposed to make? That's give or take, down and distance, situational, like certain things happen, but are they able to do that? The foundation of tackling, especially when you finally get into live bullets, when there's going to be an element of tackling in the spring game, spring showcase, whatever you want to call it. But how do we tackle? That's a great indicator of like continuing things that we need to work on in the offseason. There's other drills that we can incorporate as a strength and conditioning staff to work on that speed to power, buzzing the feet, being under control, an emphasis that you can have. Like really after it, we're going to see like, what do we do well? What do we not do well? Let's enhance those things and let's really correct those to have a good footing going into the fall camp. And then, use of the checks and understanding of the concepts and the why. So to me, at the end, when they're in there in front of 90,000 people, do they understand the 13 practices and installations? And I think from there, you then know exactly what you have and then what you have to build upon, because that camp is relatively slightly less than that, but that's going to be a reiteration. So what can you go back, freshen up, and then add to as you carry it into that opener versus Texas? That's what I got. Defense, what do you got, Bob?
Yeah, I basically, like, you want to be sound on all the calls. Make sure that you've got like 75, 80, probably about 90% of the stuff in, 85, 90. You want to make sure that they've worked on some tackling, but you need to have a good feel about what you need coming out of this. And there's a question, on interior defensive line depth.
Yep.
I think at this point, you've probably got a lot of those answers. And so you need to make a decision of, hey, is there anybody out there for us to get? If we need somebody. And I think that if you could pick up a good defensive tackle, you'd probably take it. You got your boy K-Mac, Edric Houston's, those two guys are looking good. How can Will Smith continue to hang up or hold up, and can he continue to grow into that role as they move forward with that? So there's just a number of pieces, but you really want probably 3 to 4 guys in there that you feel really good about. You feel good about the linebackers. I think Sonny, you knew about. Arvell, you knew a lot about. Peyton Pierce, you found out a lot about. And so you've got 3. Now, the best, TJ, Riley, like, have you developed those guys enough to be able to be ready to go this year? So those are also questions you got to ask. And then the other piece is like the safety element. I think corner, you felt pretty good. You knew you had Jermaine. You knew you had IGB. Devin Sanchez was pretty good. How do the rest of the young guys look? Who's going to be in the slot? Ends up being Lorenzo Styles. What does he do? Can you slide Bryce West into there? He's looked pretty good. Like Aaron Scott looks good. So you've got pretty good stuff as far as corners and nickel. And then like the safeties, they're going to have a big step from Jalen McClain and Malik Hartford. Both of those guys you're going to want to see on the field. Caleb didn't play a lot, and so you needed to see those guys begin to take those steps. And that was going to be big. And I think you've got a lot of answers to those questions moving forward. And could they handle the install of this? And it feels like the guys have a pretty good idea as far as how they feel about the team and what they've got going forward. And so that's
I just started smiling because you mentioned Devin Sanchez, and I immediately thought,
Dirty Devin.
I wonder if his nickname was Dirty.
He got hit.
Dirty.
He got hit in the dong during practice the other day. I mean, it was pretty rough. He's laying there. I'm like, come on, man. Like, everybody's been hitting the crotch. Like, let's get up off the field. Like, let's figure this thing out, and we'll get moving forward. And but he's played pretty well, and I think he's going to continue to grow and mature. And they put big expectations on him. He's going against really good wide receivers all the time. So that's it for that. We got our headlines coming up next.
Offense. No offense. We're not talking about offense.
Deal with offense tomorrow.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's why you run the show. I'm just support cast.
Exactly. Someone's got to play in this thing out. So we'll talk about offense tomorrow, what we liked, what we saw out of there. There's something like the Masters is this week. I don't get a lot of golf talk, but this came out a while ago, but they had their Masters dinner. And so, Schlegs, I want to throw that up there and talk to you about what your Masters dinner would be. We'll get that in headlines coming up next. Welcome back in to the Bobby Carpenter Show. And Schlegs, we've got our Masters menu. It's always, I think, Tuesday night, the night before the practice round. And they cut some of the practice stuff short. And so if we want to toss that up there, Pat, Schlegs, you're a Texas guy, bringing a little flair of Texas, the defending
Scotty
champion.
Scheffler, baby.
I know this came out, probably they released
Highland Park guy. Highland Park guy.
Yeah, he's HP guy. Released this a couple weeks ago. If we could toss that up, Pat. But looking at it, Schlegs, he's got a little something for everybody in here. And so I feel pretty good about where he's at. But yeah, if we head to the next slide with it, you can get a chance to see
firecracker shrimp. That sounds delightful, right?
Yeah, the appetizers, we've got cheeseburger sliders, firecracker shrimp, and then Papa Chef's meatball and ravioli bites. Rank those three for me as far as the appetizers.
Well, it's Papa Chef's. I mean, that obviously is like his grandfather or his dad.
Maybe it's just him. Do you think he goes by Papa Chef?
I mean, I like it when you call me Big Papa. I do go by Papa Schlegs, Hey, Mama Schlegs, I like it when you call me Big Papa. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like right now where I am sitting here at the Armory on a Wednesday talking to everybody out there. That firecracker shrimp sounds delightful.
More so than the sliders or the meatball and ravioli?
Yeah, 100%. Well, because I'm not getting any carbs. I'm just literally eating shrimp.
Okay. So you're going to say
sweet Thai chili sauce. Ooh, sriracha.
See, I love firecracker shrimp too. That'd be my number one, probably the slider second, and then the meatball and raviolis bites third. But depending on how
I would
good
invert those two.
So that's fine. So then for the first course, we have the Texas style chili, which some people might say is an appetizer in and of itself. Yeah. The Texas style chili, Schlegs, as you talk about, and being from down there, that's chili, and it's got the corn chips in there, like the Fritos in there as well. Some people call it like a Frito pie almost, Schlegs. And so it's jalapenos, the cheddar cheese, and it's going to be like a thicker chili if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Texas chili is thicker. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm not a big Skyline chili fan. So I like more substance in a chili, and I do like a little bit thicker chili. I don't like the Fritos in the chili. Like if I'm going to have good chili, I actually prefer some cornbread in there, like some good cornbread. You don't eat that cornbread? Like that's what I want with my chili. I want some substance.
Absolutely. All right. And then we've got the main course. You've got a choice of.
Yeah.
I think I know where you're going to go. You've got
the black and redfish looks pretty good. That's down the Gulf of America.
You got some redfish. Then you also have the wood-fired cowboy ribeye.
Yeah.
Where are we going with that?
I would have put a fillet on there.
No, get out of here. Fillets are for children. Ribeyes and
I just like to eat the entire piece of the meat. I'm not a fat guy. I don't like to suck on the gristle. My dad, listen.
Cut around. You realize that the ribeye, the center cut of the ribeye, is the fillet. You do.
I do know that. But when I just see ribeye, I get flashbacks of my dad. This side nugget, like an intro into my childhood. My dad, we would go wrestle all over the country. And then like our visits where we went to a wrestling camp or a wrestling tournament, we would go to like a Civil War battlefield, or we would go look at like a stadium, like a big time college stadium. And then as we're driving, my dad, he would take me to a casino, and then I would be at the buffet eating, and he would always like get on me. Like he would eat like sucking on the bone, like this ribeye, I'm like, dude, I ain't eat the fat. And he would just make fun of me, right? And call me soft. And that's why my mom babies me and all these different things. Then he would disappear for hours on end. They don't have cell phones. They're probably like 12, 13 years old, just sitting at the buffet. My dad comes back, huge smile. Boom, guess what? Paid for the trip. And then we would leave. That was it. So that ribeye made me think back. That's why I like fillets, because I like to eat the entire steak. I don't like to leave anything. I eat the whole dadgum thing. So if you got me right there, I still probably go with the wood-fired ribeye because that sounds delightful. But that redfish out of the Gulf of America down there in South Texas, pretty good too.
Absolutely. Then you've got the mac and cheese, some jalapeno cream corn, the soy glazed Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, I like those.
And chili lime roasted sweet potatoes.
I eat all those.
I love them all. I'd probably go sprouts, corn, potatoes, then mac and cheese, because I'm a huge mac and cheese guy. And then you love, Schlegs, a nice warm chocolate chip cookie from the skillet. They're bringing that to you in your own cast iron.
You better have some aside of Bluebell. I mean, I'm talking like like everybody gets the pint of Bluebell ice cream.
Oh yeah,
Ice cream in the country. Yadda-hoo. That's Bluebell.
it is. And so those are our headlines today. I want to make sure we got to that since that meal was eaten last night and it feels pretty good. The headlines are brought to you by our friends over at Lake Spur Marketing. Lake Spur Marketing. Listen, folks, they're a full service ad agency built on trust, strategy, and ultimately you want performance. Lake Spur team, they shield your team from the outside noise and the robocalls and all that other crap, so you can do what you do best, actually run your business. With more than 100 years of marketing experience, Lake Spur, they eliminate all the waste, and they deliver on budget, because how often does that happen in this world? They don't chase clicks. They build on partnerships. They do all the things you want. The proof is with their partners. Go check them out. Lake Spur Marketing, help take your company to the next level. All right, coming up, we got our
What would be
tailgate.
your dinner? What would be your dinner? Are we going to talk about that? What would be
Maybe we'll
my
talk
dinner?
about that, Schlegs, in tailgate talk coming up
Okay.
next. All right, welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show, and we've got our tailgate talk brought to you by friends over at Real Truck Schlegs, Truck Cheaper Bronco. Bring it to life at realtruck.com. Our guy Kenny was looking; he needs a winch too, Schlegs. I was talking to him about
Kenny,
this yesterday.
KP?
Yeah,
I know a guy, KP.
I
Come
know. I
on,
said to
bro.
get him hooked up. He wants to put it in his bed to help pull up like a kayak, like a canoe up there.
Yeah.
The only problem I saw with that is getting the power to it. So that's one thing we'll have to find a way
Nah,
around
Kenny
it.
just needs an old school come along.
Well,
That's what it
you
is.
can
I
talk
got.
to
Hey,
him
listen,
about
man. I
that.
already got ideas, man. I'd fix that, man.
All right,
Solutions,
Schlegs.
substitutions.
Since we're gonna do this, what my meal would be.
Are we gonna do it now? We're doing it. Let's do it now.
What else would we do it? This is the last segment of the show.
Well, no. We have the one where I get on and talk for 30 seconds, but that's okay. Let's do it. What would you have?
What I
Your
would
master's meal. You wearing the green jacket.
green jacket, gold jacket. I would probably favorite appetizer. I like a good tuna tartare. I like some shrimp. Bang bang shrimp is a winner for sure. If we could go and I could maybe get I'm not a huge shrimp cocktail guy, but I do like the sauce that you get at St. Elmo's. It's got all that horseradish in it. And so maybe that, although I will say at Hyde Park Schlegs, I've had this tuxedo lobster that they make that's got this Asian flair to it. I'm going to go with the Asian flair over the lobster over the bang bang shrimp and some tuna tartare. I like fish as an appetizer, because then I can get straight to the meat and get that taken care of. Probably soup. What are we doing? I like a good chili, but I'd probably go with a nice chicken tortilla, Schlegs. I mean, we're gonna be all over that.
Yes. I like it, man.
A chicken,
They're so diverse.
yeah, a chicken tortilla, and I would probably have that with some sort of like spring salad. I mean, I love like the candied almond or candied walnuts in there, maybe some blueberries, some feta cheese, strawberries, something like that, like the spring mix. And then I would definitely go with the bone-in ribeye, the big old tomahawk.
Nice.
And I guess if you didn't want that, I would probably have the other option be for a fish, gosh, I'm trying to think if I should go with salmon, or maybe like a good mahi-mahi if it's fresh. I think we could go with that. I'd go with mahi-mahi in this. I know we're all over the place, dude. We've got everything with just maybe some lemon on it. And actually, when I say either, I would say I would have both. I'm going to have the surf and turf after already having all this. And then for my dessert, I would probably get some. I used to always get the creme brulee, but if I could get like some monster at Jeff Ruby's, they do this Buckeye cake that's huge, that has all this cream cheese frosting in it, which I love cream cheese frosting. It is my favorite, and I'm probably gonna get diabetes. I always have to check my A1Cs and fast after it out, Schlegs, because it's so good. And I could eat cream cheese frosting just out of the tub, It's so absolutely delicious. All right, Schlegs, we're going to get your parting thoughts because I want to hear what you would put together. I want to give you enough time coming up next. And before we get to Schlegs' parting thoughts, I'd probably have a beer beforehand, a glass of bourbon, like a nice, I'd probably get like a Weller Full Proof with the appetizers. And then for the entree, I'd probably get a nice big glass of Silver Oak and then a coffee and Bailey's to finish that off at the end of the night, Schlegs. So there you go.
Okay. I got mine. So while we mingle, you're drinking a Monster Dickel just to get some juice in there, okay?
Wait, are we going to go clubbing later that night? Why don't
No, just to get the juice in the conversation flowing because nobody wants to be around a bunch of people that don't talk. Like, let's have a friendly convo. Let's get it spiked up with some Monster Dickel. All right, then appetizer, okay? And all of mine are entrees, all right? We're going Waffle House, okay? I'm starting it off with, because I want a saturated in syrup just to like cleanse the palate and so it's sweet. Then, all right, you're going to have a choice. Your choice is going to be this. You can have brisket, filet mignon, or rusty bucket salmon with sticky rice. Sides would be green beans and mashed potatoes, straight up real talk. All right, and to cap it off, chocolate, any type of malt that you want. Old school vintage malts. I had a chocolate malt the other day at Grader's. It was delightful. That's what I've got. That's what I got.
Wow.
Is that it? And maybe some key lime pie. It depends on what you're hankering for at the end. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Take all that back. Bump that. Mimi's, my mom's recipe made by my sister. I told my daughter this the other day. I was like, you need to learn Mimi's pumpkin bar recipe. Because at some point, ain't gonna make it for me anymore. And that's like pumpkin bars with like that cream cheese, but they are so delightful. I can literally eat a pan this big by myself in one day of that. And then I'd probably pass out and die. But that's okay. I do.
That sounds tremendous, Schlegs. And now I'm starving for lunch, so I'm going to get some of that. And we'll see you here on Thursday here on the Bobby Carpenter Show.